I'm Anne-Marie Insley and I am 76 years old. My family at the time was my father, mother, myself and my baby brother, and we lived in North Birmingham at that time. We had not that long moved down from Glasgow, so all my family is Scottish. My father moved down to work with the motor industry. I think there was more work down here. And he was a leather cloth traveller, which I think meant the coverings for the seating in the cars at that time. So it was just getting started, the motor industry. And they married in 1940, just as war broke out. And then he was called up to join the RAF. He was discharged. He was served with the RAF in Asia, based in India at that time, fighting the Japanese, I think. And he was discharged in 1946. And then I was born in 1947. Subsequently, we bought a house in Grange Road, which was nearer to Sutton Coldfield end of Erdington. At that time, just my baby brother, who was 3 years younger than me, and then subsequently we had my sister, another little baby was born. My mum stayed at home. She was a stay-at-home mum in those days. And then subsequently, my father died when I was only 10, and she was left with 3 young children under the age of 10. And she then had to go to work, so it was quite a big shock to our family. He was brilliant. He was very family orientated, and we always used to love when he came home because it used to light up the family when he came in the door. He was that sort of a person. So this must have been something so unusual because I think probably because it wasn't that long after the war, there weren't probably big things like that going on with lights and festivals and things just after the war. So it was something so unusual. I think it was very enterprising of Leamington to even think of putting on something like that. I do think it really should be appreciated and recorded for people, to see what was possible, what was manageable in those days when you would have thought, well, maybe there was too much, the poverty after the war, the austerity, and yet they went ahead and they did this. The cost of it and advertising it around the Midlands. There was a coach trip to Leamington to see the lights organised by the local corner shop, which again is quite something, isn't it? And so they all went together. I think it was him and his younger brother and his mother and father and the grandparents all came to Leamington. He remembers it being lots and lots of coaches arriving, very busy, lots of people in the park. We only went the once, and I've got all the photographs that illustrate what we saw on that trip. I was only 3 at the time, so it would have been a big adventure going out. It would have seemed like a long journey to me going in. We had a car, so we went by car to Leamington, and I think it was just going out. So it must have been going on into the evening because you wouldn't have seen the lights if it hadn't been getting dark. Well, my father had his own camera, and he developed his own films afterwards at home in a little dark room. So it was a bit of a hobby of his. So on this trip to Leamington, he obviously brought his camera and he took these photographs of the nursery rhyme characters and me standing in front of them. So, I mean, they are huge, especially to a small child. So this one is Humpty Dumpty, and I'm just standing there looking up at Humpty Dumpty. There are various other nursery rhyme characters, and I think they would have been dotted around Jefferson Gardens, in the bushes and along the pathways. So there's another one here of the old woman who lived in the shoe. And again, that's me standing next to the old woman. And it just would have been so amazingly, fantastical to see these characters come to life. There's another one of Old Mother Hubbard, the empty cupboard and the dog looking plaintive. And this one is 3 blind mice. The old woman chasing the mice away. Oh, and then this one is my brother with Little Miss Muffet and the spider. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, and a big spider, which I certainly wouldn't have wanted to touch, I don't think, but he didn't seem to mind. That's that one. When I found these photographs, I was absolutely delighted to be able to find something like that. And coming to speak to you about it, and just remember that my father had taken these photographs, and it kind of brings him right into the picture again, and it creates such a lovely memory. So it was quite an adventure, and there was music playing, and there were lots and lots of people. Just the colour I mean, because colour was quite rare in those days, I think. The colour and the spectacle, it just seemed like a very magical experience. Just remember the people, the lights, the characters that I saw, which were the nursery rhyme characters, all come to life. So it was a really amazing thing for a small child to see.